I'm Kathy Fredrickson, the Digital Marketer Director for UW Oshkosh Digital Marketing Clinic. So a favorite content marketer and influencer of mine is Ann Handley. She's written 2 books about content marketing. They are very user-friendly. I highly recommend you read them. When you get started on your social media accounts, you become a marketer. And so for Ann's point, when you've become a marketer, you should always be helping your target audience. I like to distill key learnings if I'm teaching or doing a webinar into 3s or 5s, some things to remember. I realize that when you do a presentation, people are probably going to remember about 10% of what you present. So if you remember anything, do these 3 things on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about optimizing your personal profile. We'll talk about building a robust company page. If you don't have one, you need to create one. And then after you create one and you're posting, using your analytics. The 3rd point is committing to publishing useful insights. And to Ann Handley's point, always be helping. So when you're optimizing your personal profile, take a look at your words that you're using to describe yourself and ask yourself an important question. Are they too overused? So for the purpose of the conversation right now, I'll just highlight a few of these. In our industry, we often talk about being creative. So creative is a buzzword. So you can consider other words, perhaps artistic or inventive. In our field, we also talk about being strategic. Strategic is used an awful lot. So consider using other words that get to that point, such as goal-oriented or purposeful. Here is my profile and my headline. So I made the choice to use the UW Oshkosh branded colors. Here you can see our gold, you can see UWO, Titans, which is our mascot in Oshkosh. So at a glance, you can see that I'm affiliated with the university. I have a professional profile picture that complements the colors scheme used. And then we'll dig into my headline, which you have to keep at 220 characters. So deconstructing that headline, I'm a fan of using pipe text. So pipe text can be found just above the return key. Once you get it into your profile, you can cut and paste again. So it really compartmentalizes and you can see at a glance what the different aspects of my headline entail. I'm also a fan of using, if you want to call them emoticons or emojis or symbols, I'm a fan of using that beyond just your traditional emotion or smiley face or laughing. You can get just about any symbol, anything related to events, places, your favorite item, a typewriter or a film recorder. In my case, I take a lot of pictures, so I'm using the camera symbol. Moving on to deconstructing your headline. So if you look at the way that I've been very purposeful on the way that I've constructed my headline, the first part is a very condensed appeal. So people who land on my profile, my hope is that they're seeking advice on how to grow their businesses and they will see posts accordingly. I do not use my professional title. My professional title is long and complex. I'm using a title in layman's terms that includes a keyword. So I am in digital marketing. I use Digital Marketing Clinic Director and faculty to show that I'm both a practitioner and faculty member. I am tagging the university to boost my presence. So I tag UW Oshkosh. Next, I have a point of pride. I co-founded Women in Technology Wisconsin in 2015 with my college roommate. It is now a statewide organization, so that's a point of pride. And then I end with a fun fact that highlights a hobby, and there is where I use the emoji. Here is a former student, now a very successful entrepreneur. Alex Belleville is, his company does videos for business, and he has done an excellent job using his pipe text, keeping it very succinct, filmmaker, speaker, and entrepreneur. He is tagging his own company, which helps a lot build the presence for his brand. He uses the emoji for the film camera. And then he also puts in there a tag for Vayner Sports, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's company, very high profile work that he's done. And he's tagging Vayner for added presence. We've talked about the headline. Now we'll dig into the next important aspect is your about summary. So only the first 3 lines are about 300 characters will show before readers have to click to see more. It's really important in those first 3 sentences to get your powerful statements out there. Use your keywords, use data that is going to attract a user to want to learn more about you. So for us, in 7 months, we have helped 90 small businesses. So we've got great momentum here at the clinic. And so I have that highlighted early in my about summary. Next, we'll move on to company pages. One of my former students is now the marketing manager at Chem Design, a chemical manufacturer in Marinette, Wisconsin. They have an impressive 575 followers. They're above that 150 threshold for getting some traction on LinkedIn. She has worked very hard to have employees share their content, and she has a nice branded presence. She uses their branded icon and uses their tagline, uses custom toll manufacturing as its own word mark to display what they're about. Researching hashtags is really important on LinkedIn. You use the search feature, the simple search feature in the upper left. Start with your hashtag and then the word that you want to research. Social media obviously is a very popular hashtag, 9 million followers. Social media tips is more refined, only 676. So use the search feature to really research frequency, have some power hashtags and some more refined ones as well. We're going back to Chem Design to show hashtags in action. So Abby did a really good job of using some broad hashtags, safety first, employee safety, and then and training, which is very broad. And then she's got more refined chemical industry, and she also has her branded hashtag. Always use your company name as a hashtag in your post. So that's when people are searching for you, you'll come up in the results. Here's my top 10 about making LinkedIn posts about your employees. Again, back to Chem Design. So Abby did some research and found that it's a national initiative about Engineering Week. Specifically, it's really neat to highlight women in STEM-related fields. So she profiled their engineers. Really great concept. Again, using, she did a good job using hashtags, hashtag National Engineers Week, hashtag her own company, STEM education. So well done. Here are some top 10 ideas. So you can go back to any training sessions that you have at the company, get some photos, do a post about it. Graduations. So Chem Design in particular has done a really nice job when people have received their associates or their bachelor's or their master's degrees, pictures of them in caps and gowns, really nice call out for the continuing education of their employees. The same holds true for certificates. When you get a certificate, you can take a picture of the employee with the certificate, or you could just highlight the certificate itself. Anniversary milestones, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year. Again, all about the employees. Job function. So if you want to highlight your people in purchasing or your people in sales, new hires is important, as well as retirements, even career changes. You'd think, well, why would we want to highlight a person that's leaving the company? Well, maybe they're making a career change and it's just you want to wish them well. Testimonials are always powerful. A day in the life could be a simple, a day in the life feature, or events with customers or community leaders. Some companies are kind of private about the customers they serve, that's fine. But what if you have like a member of the chamber or a member of business development come to visit your organization, grab a photo and create a post about it. What's nice about reflecting on your posts is now you can use analytics as a free tool in LinkedIn to monitor what's doing well. So I noticed that for our own company page for our digital marketing clinic, that we had a mobile visit spike on a Sunday. And so I wanted to dig in and figure out what was going on. The closest post in terms of timing to that Sunday is Taylor had posted on Thursday, the 22nd, about our clinic in general, using some nice hashtags. So the nice thing about LinkedIn is that your post, unlike Twitter, which a post will expire in 24 to 48 hours, your post on LinkedIn remains viable. And so explaining a 3-day lag and then people getting caught up in LinkedIn on the weekends, they saw it. So it's kind of a cool thing about LinkedIn. That's why I like the platform so much, is the organic presence is a lot longer than other platforms. Another nice feature about analytics is notify employees. So you've got all of your posts that you're reflecting on in analytics. The notify employees feature comes on the upper right. You can notify all employees who have put in their profile that they work with you that you've done a post. So it's a nice touch point to get those employees to share your post for the company. Which leads to the first question that I'm often asked by small business owners: is it better to share content as an individual or through the company page? My answer is the company page, actually, because this is your hub. You want to get past that 150 follower count to really get some traction. So start there. Share your company post on your personal page. So that way people are seeing it, that you have a company page in your network. They see that you have a company page. And then you can also encourage your employees to share the company posts as well. So in Chem Design's case, they have a lot of employees sharing their posts. Most companies do not have a fair amount of employees sharing posts. In fact, LinkedIn reports on average only 3% of employees share company posts. However, even at 3%, you have a 10 times generation. So they're generating 30% of the content engagement for that business. So imagine if you could get 5 or 10 of your employees to share posts, you can really boost your engagement. Another question I'm often asked is what time should you post? How often should you post? So start with once a day for your personal account. Post once a week on your company account. And if you are in an industry, think about your users. If people are not checking social media at work during work hours, experiment with posting on weekends and evenings as well. I made this statement a little earlier: getting to that 150 followers on your company page. You will get 5 times more company page views than those that have fewer followers. So follow this framework when you're doing posts. Have a descriptive caption, describe that image. It's extra context. Have an eye-catching image. Use hashtags always. It's a great way to increase visibility and get to new audiences. And as a bonus, add emojis, add questions, add bullet points to switch up the look and feel of your content. Here's a post from a person that is now a first connection. I connected with her because I just thought she was just doing a rock star job on LinkedIn. How did I find out about Angela's post? One of my first connections had responded to it. So people are investing in LinkedIn, and you should respond with content that inspires, educates, asks a question, or even answers a question, helps others be great. So she said in her post, everyone always asks, what is your favorite event you've produced? And I reply, oh, it's like asking me to pick a favorite kid. So you click in to see more of what she's talking about, but take a look at that image. It's engaging, it's taken at night, shows activity. So Angela did a really nice job. Here's 2 examples of people sharing their company content. On the left, there's Ryan Albers. He is a brand strategist with Quill Creative. They are sharing an article from Fast Company that talks about creativity in business. So he's sharing an article from his company that's sharing an article. Why not? It works. And then the one on the right, Nacho does a great job of asking questions like, what do you do for self-care? He is in counseling and helping people in high stress industries get strong mentally. So it's a very pertinent question. He had information on his own company. And then again, if you find that information valuable, you can follow the companies right there. And then how do you find curated content? So how do you find content to share? Follow those thought leaders in your industry. And then in LinkedIn, use the notification feature. I use that multiple times a day. You find people to congratulate, you find people that you're following that are posting. It's just a treasure trove of a lot of great ways to find curated content. My final tip for the day is about publishing articles. I recommend that you give the article feature a try. If you're reaching writer's block, why don't you look at some of your old blog posts and see if you can repurpose it as something in your own voice. What's nice about publishing an article is all your connections are notified. And then LinkedIn articles are shareable. So if they like the article, they can share it with others. You can give content that you have on other parts of your brand and materials, like on your website, a new life in LinkedIn. What's really nice about articles, it's indexed on Google, reaching your second and third level connections. It's a powerful way of doing that. Anyone can follow your post, and then you can feature those articles in your profile. I was inspired last fall to write an article about the impact of having a liberal arts minor. I was a business major and a theater minor in college, which was unique. But as I reflected on that experience, I thought of the many tools and techniques and experiences as a theater minor that really helped me as a business person. So just kind of an interesting reflection piece. I went to the archives and found an image of myself in front of a sign that I had done a show in my undergraduate years. So it's something different. And then sizing your cover image accordingly is really important. Use Canva, use a tool to size it accordingly, and then add a caption on the image as well. After you publish an article, what's nice from a business development perspective or just understanding your audience is that now you can see the analytics. So I see that I had 36 views from people that work at UW Oshkosh as well, but I can see the other companies. I can see that a lot of people had the same title as me or similar title, and then I can see the other titles represented. And then I can see where they came from. So great analytics to understand more about the audience, all from just publishing an article. In summary, this is my last slide. So my tips for the day are optimizing your headline, get to work on that, work on your first 200 to 300 characters in your about section, commit to leveraging that notifications feature in LinkedIn, publish weekly on your company page, publish daily on your own account, create LinkedIn articles, aim for about once a month. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the session, and then add any comments. I know this is going to be posted to our LinkedIn page. Feel free to respond. Have a great day.
Hi there, my name is Brad Vanderberg. I'm a senior here at UW Oshkosh. My major is interactive web management, and I'm going to be here talking to you about Twitter for Business today. So just go over the agenda real quick. We'll talk about the Twitter audience and the behavior, as well as profile optimization. Then we're going to talk a little. So a quick question for everyone out there. Do you currently use Twitter for your business? All right, so we'll jump into who uses Twitter, some of the demographics. So the largest age group is actually from 25 to 34. And then you can see here on the graph, 23.7% of users are under 24 and 17.1% of users are over 50. So we're going to have a lot of people in the extremes, but just for some context there, over half of the people are going to be between 25 to 49. So that's something to keep in mind for your audience targets. as well as about 20 or 2/3 of Twitter users are men. This is very interesting, and it contrasts with a lot of other platforms that seem to be um, heavy with more women users that are accessing it daily. But on Twitter, it's actually a lot of men. So how is Twitter used? There's a couple ways that Twitter is used, and a couple ways that it distinguishes itself as its own platform. So one way that people use Twitter are conversations about current events. I have a little fun fact there that 71% of users get their news from Twitter, and the average session length is about 3.5 minutes. So with those two pieces of information, you can tell that you can see on the far right there, a tweet's lifespan is a lot shorter than Facebook and LinkedIn posts. It's going to be people just going in it throughout the day, chiming in what they can, and also just getting up to date on some other information too. They're not going to be accessing the platform for long periods of time. And so you really want to appear closest to the top as possible because people aren't going to be going through all the tweets from the day, obviously. Another way that Twitter is used is to connect with public figures. I have a little fact here that 92% of tweets actually come from only 10% of Twitter users. So especially for your industry, you want to find someone who has a large audience and try to chime in the conversation however you can. There's going to be a lot of opportunities there for people with a lot of followers that get a lot of responses. You can always chime into the conversation, add your own opinion. And then another way Twitter is used is for customer support. So over 50% of users who have interacted with the brand have asked for support. You'll see there a lot of businesses are using their account for support on Twitter just because it's such a big platform that tweets are, obviously the lifespan is short enough that it's very relevant, it's time relevant. You can see all these things here are current events, things that can be solved right away, and they're not going to be relevant a couple of days from now. So onto your profile optimization. These are some just some tips on how you can really display your culture and your brand from your profile account. So some things you want to fill out for sure are the banner and the profile photo. With that banner photo, you can tell you have a bit more space there. So we usually try to focus on either building your community or your culture standouts there. And then for the profile photo, we always recommend a logo. This is going to be shown next to your tweets in a lot more places. So we want to make sure that we're using a professional logo there. And then just to distinguish the name from the handle, the name is a larger text that's usually bolded next to your tweets and on your profile account. And then the handle is actually going to be unique to each account. So if your business has an @ that you want it to match your other social accounts, you definitely would try to do that and try to grab the one that's unique to your own account. Try to match those up, especially with your other accounts, because that just creates a lot of consistency within your branding. Another thing you want to fill out is your bio. So you have at least 160 characters to fill this out. Definitely add as much relevant things as you think is possible. Try your business hours, any type of products or services, choosing some keywords so that when people land on your profile, they know exactly what you're about. You can also put in an email or a link as well, and it also hyperlinks it as well. So it's a bit different from other platforms in that perspective. And then another thing you can do is add a pinned tweet. And what this does is actually keeps a tweet at the top of your profile. You see a lot of businesses utilizing this space with like a welcome video, promotional offer, or some type of call to action for you to visit either their website or on a conversion page, something like that. And then you can see that there at the bottom below your bio, you also have your location. You can put in your website, and then people can also see when you join Twitter as well. You can see a couple businesses that did profile optimization very well here. For Dove, they use a couple emojis with the standout things that they're really emphasizing for their culture. On the right side, we have Andy Crestadina, who's a marketing expert, and he uses things like links, and also he uses the handle within his bio, so it's going to direct you to another Twitter user once you click on that. And then at the bottom, we have Church's Chicken, and they just have some like a funny statement that kind of goes with it's very Twitter exclusive. So that's something you could keep in mind as well. All right, so now moving on to engaging on Twitter. So every post is called a tweet, and then within a tweet, you can attach a video or image, a GIF, or you can have a poll, you can insert emojis, or you can also schedule the tweet with the buttons at the bottom of the menu. Within a tweet, you can also share a URL, and it'll automatically link, so when someone clicks on it, it'll bring them right to the page. To tag another account, you can use the @ symbol and then type in their handle. You just want to make sure the text is blue so that when people click on it, it'll bring them to the right page. And then you can also use hashtags to bring conversations together. One thing you want to make sure with your hashtags is you want to make sure the text is blue so people can click on it. One thing about these hashtags, you can use them whenever. So if you find it's more organic to use them within the regular sentence, just putting a hashtag on your keywords, that's always something smart to do to link yourself with other conversations. And then also another note that media is much more likely to be shared than text. So you can see at the bottom there, I have a little infographic that photos are 6 times more likely to be retweeted, and then GIFs are also 3 times more likely to be retweeted. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another way to engage on Twitter is using emojis. So emojis are really great to use especially for business, because it gives your tweets a more personable feel. It helps you establish a tone, catch the user's attention because of, the colors and the emotional response. You can input emojis with that button there at the bottom next to the tweet button. And also use emojis inside your bio too. We saw that Dove was using that. It just creates a bit more personality within your business profile. More ways to engage on Twitter. So with other people's tweets, you can engage a few different ways. One way is the like button, and that's going to be the heart. That's the third one over at the bottom with the circles. The retweet button are the up and down arrows. It's the green circle at the bottom, and that's just another way to share that to your own followers. And then you have a quote retweet, which is actually a tweet about another tweet, and then users can see the original below. The top photo on the far right side is going to have a quote retweet where you can see the original tweet by Sarah, and then Quick Trip has their response. So you see both the tweets within a quote retweet, and then a reply, which is the conversation bubble button at the bottom left. The users will not see the original tweet on their timeline. So I have a little arrow pointing to the next Quick Trip tweet at the bottom there, where it says it's replying to someone, but you can't see the original tweet. You'll see a lot of people do this with, if people are asking for support, they're just going to reply instead of quote retweet, because they don't want, obviously, a lot of people to see the original tweet. And then on the far right-hand side of the menu, you have the share button. So a couple unique things you can do is share it to another Twitter user, or actually share it to your Instagram story or Facebook Messenger. So that's just a reminder that there's a lot of cross-platform opportunity with Twitter, and it's not just exclusive to Twitter users. You can reach your audience on either Instagram or Facebook as well. So that's something interesting. Another way to engage on Twitter is just to find out all the sections of Twitter. So to do this, there's a left-hand menu on desktop, and then on the mobile view, you can just click your profile photo on the top left, and then it brings you up this menu. So you have your home, which is the timeline of the tweets that, for people that you follow, they're going to appear there. You have the explore feed, which is actually very great to look for specific industry terms or trending topic categories. And then you can either search by keyword. It's going to pull tweets from hashtags, also just people using the word in a tweet. That's kind of unique compared to other platforms, because you can just search a keyword and it's going to pull every tweet that uses that keyword. So you're going to get a lot more visibility there. Notifications. Whenever someone mentions your handle, your @ within a tweet, it's going to appear there. And also whenever people like or retweet, you can find all the engagement of your tweets within the notifications menu. The messages, this is where you can keep up with your direct messages from other Twitter users. Profile, obviously that's to see your own profile. And then if you click the More button at the bottom, there's another drop down that appears. You can view topics, so that's viewing tweets by category. Twitter will randomly grab specific tweets for different keywords and topics that you can choose. So again, if you're really new to Twitter and you're still looking for people to follow or different content to engage with, definitely check out the topics category. You have the moments as well, which we're going to talk about that in a second. Twitter ads is also we're going to talk about later, and then same with the analytics in the media studio.
So a moment, a Twitter moment, it's a way to connect multiple tweets. And then when people see them in the timeline in their news feed, it's going to be one tweet, and then they can interact with it by scrolling through it. It's very useful for beating the tweet character limit. And then you can also use it to bring up some old tweets. So it's just useful in a lot of different ways. As a business, you can use it to introduce a new product line or compile tweets from a community event that uses a similar hashtag. And one thing to note with this, it's only available to make on a desktop. It's not available on to make it on mobile, but you can still view it on mobile. And then I just have the instructions there. I think it's really useful for especially the small businesses. If you're looking to just bring smaller accounts together, you can also add their tweets. And I think that community aspect is really cool. If you have a live event, people are using your hashtag, you can just kind of bring that all in one section for people to look at. And then I also had another question. Do you advertise on Twitter? Guessing it's gonna be a lot of no's. All right, so we're seeing a lot of no's, but the thing, good thing is that it's very similar to Facebook. So before jumping in, we want to set our objectives and goals. Who are we targeting the ad for? Where do we want them to go? What's the link that we're hoping them to follow? What do we want them to do? And then what is our budget? Those are just a few things for you guys to ponder on when making ads. And then also the phases of ads. So you don't want to push users too fast on the funnel. We have the awareness ads with the goal of branding, telling the users who you are, building up your audience in case people aren't already engaging with you. Awareness ads are great for that. And then we have the consideration ads a little bit further down in the funnel. People know who you are, but now we're trying to get them onto the goal of lead generation. We got to show people what we offer, informing our audience of the products and services. And then once they get past the consideration stage, we can go on to the conversion stage. We talk about sales retargeting. This is going to be taking those people that have already considered our product and then offering them, showing the distinct benefits. Our competitive advantage against other businesses are going to be great in there. So the first phase of ads, we have the awareness. This is really great. It's very similar to Facebook. You're going to find that all of these things are probably going to be within your Facebook ad library already. So people need to know you before they buy. Within these awareness ads, you want to be showing your business name, what you do, and why you do it. It's not too complicated. You're going to be paying by the impressions. So it doesn't matter how many people interact with the ad. It matters on how many people just see it on their device. And then the second phase of ads is consideration. You want to have users engage with their brand in some way, showing the product, services, benefits, and then differentiating from competition. Just to keep in mind that you can use some of these for different phases of ads. So if you're going to use website clicks, you can also use that further down the funnel. It doesn't have to be a consideration ad. These are just kind of what Twitter uses as a guideline. So I think that the consideration ads, these are going to be very useful for people just because they're so similar to Facebook. And then the phases of ads, sorry, number 3 is conversion. So obviously this is getting people to purchase whatever you're looking for. Twitter has one of their conversions is app re-engagements. So you could definitely use this, something like website visits there to draw people to a landing page. For advertising, we want to encourage users to purchase the product or services, obviously. Something that works really great with conversion is offering special deals, especially to a relevant service for in a timely manner. And then also directing users to a landing page for conversion. You always want to have some place on your website that people are going to be giving you money. That's the main goal of your ads. Something cool about Twitter advertising is you can use a various amount of ways to deploy your advertisements. So you can look at things like basic personal information, like their age, gender, demographics, geographics, their location, languages, also your followers and following. So if you have people that are following you that you know are interested in your products, that's going to be something you look at. If you have an email list, definitely try to upload that and experiment with some ads. The unique thing is you can search for keywords actually used in tweets. So things like events, interests, current movies or TV shows. You can also have negative keywords. So if you find that you're looking for a specific word that's being overtaken by really competitive businesses, you can filter out the negative keywords, so you can just target exactly who you're looking for. And then once you have specific accounts you want to target, you can also find a lookalike audience. So like if you have a good Facebook following, you know how the lookalike audience works. It's on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a smaller audience that are very similar, and then 10 being the largest audience that maybe don't have as much similarities, but you're going to be finding the largest reach for that one. Conversations with others, users tweet about the same things. Those are going to be the ways that Twitter creates your lookalike audience in the algorithm. So it's going to be people that are interested in the same things. And then also you can install Twitter Pixel on your website and track the accounts who have visited. So if you're looking for something like website visits, you can actually find the effectiveness of that by just copying and pasting a Twitter Pixel, just like you would for Google Analytics. Now, a little bit about the content mix. We're going back to the 60-30-10 golden rule, where 60% is going to be sharing others' content. That's your curated content. On Twitter, it's really easy to search hashtags or keywords within the Explorer feed and then finding accounts relevant to your brand. You can input your opinions with a quote to a reply. So that's really easy to curated content to create. 30% is you're going to be your own content. So sharing your own tweets, creating some type of content for users, either organic photos or video, asking users a question with a poll, or just talking about your business's culture in any way. And then 10% of that is going to be promotional content, which is tweeting about your products and services. That's going to be the distinct features, telling people how much those things cost, where they can find them, and then where they can go to buy them to convert. So what performs well on Twitter? Your 60%, this is going to be a huge amount of your content, obviously. You just want to focus on what's trending. It can't be overstated that Twitter is really just a trendy platform. They're talking about current events and current conversations. So you want to find people that ideally they have over 1,000 followers, jump into their conversations, find their tweets, and then just tweet something relevant to you guys. Add in your own opinions, and then use their hashtags. So if people are building up a hashtag, try to hop in there and join in on the conversation. Finding industry leaders, replying to their tweets, because a lot of people that know these industry leaders, they're going to go to the replies underneath those tweets and see what people are saying about it, how they're interacting with it. That's a great way to show your credibility in that field. Always put in your opinions inside of your tweets to add value. Sharing photos and video is always relevant to the industry. That's going to be key, as we showed that media has 6 times more engagement than just a regular tweet. Sharing research articles and breakthrough technologies, that's another way to show your credibility in the field. And the thing with Twitter is once these articles are posted by big accounts, you can always just retweet them, add in your own opinions. Like we said, this is the curated content. You're sharing other people's content, just trying to establish yourself as a pinpoint in the industry. You want to really show your credibility with the curated content. And then also use your content from customers. So this is really easy. Once people start following you, just share the content they're following. You can always follow any relevant accounts. There isn't really a ratio you want to have for following to followers. You definitely just want to follow anyone that is creating content in the industry that you're in. 30% are going to be your own content. So this is your own tweets. So a few ways that you can do this a bit more uniquely is creating a thread. So replying to your own tweet, and then it shows on the timeline once after another. This is really great if you're posting when people are active, because it's going to just fill their timeline with your tweet. So they're always going to be seen. You definitely want to use your Twitter analytics and find when your users are most active on Twitter and then posting at that time. Always use your keywords for relevant topics. So you can also use a hashtag in front of that keyword. Just try not to use it in a very, I guess, in an inorganic way. If you're using that keyword once, you don't want to put it at the end. Just use it in the sentence. And then once people search in the Explore feed, they're always just going to appear there. The more engagement you have, the higher they're going to appear. So just try to use those keywords as often as possible. Establishing your brand tone and personality. So this is a way to differentiate from competition. And then it keeps your followers interested because you always have an opinion. Using things like emojis, quote retweeting another tweet. Those are going to be things that you can establish your personality as a business account. And then quote tweet or reply under tweets you find in the Explore feed. Especially if you're new to Twitter and you don't have a lot of people that you're following, your timeline is kind of empty. You can always go to the Explore feed, just type in one of the keywords you use most often, and then asking people just a question or add on to their information. So if there's something that they're talking about in the industry that you're in, just kind of give some personal information. You know, you're a small business, you guys are fully involved in the things that any business process that you're doing. So I'm sure that you guys will always have something to add. And then once you find someone that's tweeting about the things you like, follow them. Don't be worried about how many people you follow. Like I said, it doesn't really matter if you have a lot of following on Twitter. And then for the 10% promotional content, this is obviously not how you're going to be building your brand. This is where you're capitalizing off the engagement you're currently getting. So you're talking about your product, services. Always include a link in these posts because Twitter, these links will work very well. Direct users to a place where they can interact for longer. So when people are going through the timeline, they're not really going to stop and click on all the tweets they find. So you want to have some type of call to action and bring people to where they can sit on the page for longer. You know, they can't interact with the tweet for too long. Something like a blog post or a web page, some type of content that you know they're going to be interested in, direct them there. Asking users questions about things that you provide. So if they have a certain preference, like a color, or if they dislike something about the product, you can post something like a poll, find it there. And then also always add media. So whenever you're having promotional content, you need a photo or video with that as well. So now we have a little Q&A. Which tweet performed better? The first one or the second one? We have a little link to an article about the Falcon Chicks here at campus. And then on the right, there's a Throwback Thursday post from UW Oshkosh. So if you guys just want to throw in the chat which one you think performed better, we'll talk about that in just a second. Yeah, so it was the second one actually. It uses hashtags very organically. So at the beginning, they're gonna say Throwback Thursday either way. You might as well just put the hashtag in front of it, categorize it with all the other things. It tags accounts like the Brewers, which obviously is a Wisconsin school. We care about those things. It ties the university to a bigger brand in Wisconsin. It uses things like UWO 150 in the hashtags and TBT. It's just a very cultured thing that, you know, people are going to care about. It's tying two things that people love together. And then
even the image having Titan.
Yeah. And with the images, it has things like Titans, and then you can see the Brewers logo, so people can instantly recognize those brands. Whereas the first one, it has a picture, which is great, but it has a link that you're not really sure what it's going to be going into. It talks about these Falcon Chicks, and it's just a little bit less of what people are looking for in a brand's tweet. So now we have Quick Trip, another Wisconsin brand. Which tweet performed better, number 1 or number 2? Seeing some ones in the chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're gonna go with number one as well. It ties into the culture of their brand. You know, people care about Wisconsin things, and those things just scream Wisconsin to you. They're both pretty good memes. On the right hand side, it's a pretty personable thing. Like, I mean, a lot of people are gonna relate to that, but it's just not where their culture lies. A lot more people care about Wisconsin and that brand identity from Quick Trip. Whereas on the right hand side, you could really have any type of gas station account post that thing. You always just want to find what type of audience, what type of content your audience is going to be, have that emotional response with. Another way that you can manage your content is with Media Studio. So Media Studio is really great to view your library of the photos and videos you've already tweeted. If you're going to go live on Twitter, you can view your live broadcasts, also your scheduled and archived. Media Studio is really nice to see all your scheduled tweets as well. So if you're not looking to use a separate platform like Hootsuite, definitely check that out on Twitter and experiment with that a little bit. Analytics measure your content. So Twitter analytics, you can select a date range and then find the engagement of your tweets. It's really great to find your top tweets and then finding what works best for your audience. Like what type of content do they engage with? Maybe what time of day do they engage with it? If you're finding a lot of people engage with your videos over photos, maybe you would focus more on posting a really quality video instead of a couple photos. Just try to dedicate your time in the most efficient way possible. You can also view how many users clicked your links. So if you're running some type of lead generation campaign, you can find out how many you want to attribute to your Twitter account. And then you can also use the Twitter pixel data to attribute some of your conversion tracking within that tab. It measures the effectiveness of your calls to action, content strength. If you're looking to do some A/B testing, you can always look at that within the Twitter analytics. I think that works great. And then just some final best practices. Tweet as often as you can. Like I said, tweets come and go. People are only on the platform for an average of 3.5 minutes per session. So schedule out tweets if you do not have time each day. It's always better to tweet once a day for a week than instead of 7 times at once. So if you find that you have an extra 30 minutes to an hour, just schedule out a tweet for each day of the week. That's always great to do. And then you can find your schedule within that Twitter Media Studio. Always retweet your old tweets if they're getting good engagement. Not all your followers are going to see them the first time. So especially as a brand, it's going to be hard to get that engagement at first. But if you find that people are interested in some of the things you're talking about, retweet that old tweet and bring it back up on their timeline. It's very common that there's just so many tweets going on during that time that they just get pushed down to the bottom and people don't have, like we said, the average session length is 3.5 minutes. People are generally not going to see them the first time around. Definitely follow anyone interested in your industry. Always look in that explore feed and see what trending tweets are happening within that topic. That's something very unique about Twitter that you can always tap into the industry thoughts. And then another thing about your old tweets, delete old tweets with no engagement. So if people are landing on your profile for the first time, you always want to show them the good. You want to show them the most interesting content you have. And if you ever visit someone's Twitter account and they don't have a lot of engagement on their tweets, that's probably a sign that like they're not getting engagement for a reason. Like it's maybe not the best type of content or they don't know their audience. So if you ever have a tweet that doesn't get very good engagement, just delete that. Always tweet for conversation. So you're not just making statements. On other platforms, you can do things like make a statement, just kind of put something out there to notify your users. But with Twitter, you're always looking for that back and forth. Engagement with users makes your tweets appear higher for them. So that's something to think about when you're crafting your tweets. Always look for that engagement and find how, like, make it easy for the people to respond to. Ask them questions, talk about the things you like, because it's very easy for people to respond with the things they like too. Always post links to your content on the website. So if you create something like a blog post, just find some type of hook or an agenda that you can have to go along with the caption and then post a link within there as well. Use keywords from that content. So if people are looking in the explore feed, they can find your content very easily. And then also like relevant tweets. Other users can see the tweets that you like, and then also sometimes it'll show up in their timeline too that you liked it. So that's just another way to share tweets and also just engage with your industry a little bit. So that concludes our webinar. If you have any questions, definitely shoot them in the chat. We'll have a little Q&A section here at the end. Another reminder that our virtual seminars are posted on our social media platform on YouTube. I have a link to the playlist there. We'll be uploading this one shortly later today. And then the SBDC, we always have the services available, whether you were a client or not. Definitely apply today. You can check the link there from the bottom as well. And then we'll be sending out a survey, just talking about the webinar and sharing the link as well. Before the Q&A, I just wanted to give a little shout out to our internship director, Kathy. It's actually her birthday today. And so I had to mention that for everyone here.
I don't need to say how many digits I am, right? Another trip around the sun.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions,
There's a hashtag. I love it. It's a very refined hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Taylor will be sending out a survey, and our recorded session will also be on YouTube for you guys to go back to. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, everyone.